Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today, I'm going to tell you how the Israel-Gaza War ended, and what was the secret behind the ceasefire deal that stopped the bloodshed. This is a story of diplomacy, pressure, and compromise, that involved many players and interests. But before we get into that, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon, so you don't miss any of my future videos. And if you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Now, let's get started. The escalation of the Israel-Gaza War was the worst outbreak of violence in the region since 2014. It started on May 10, 2023, when Hamas, the militant group that controls Gaza, fired rockets at Jerusalem, in response to Israeli police raids and evictions of Palestinians in the Holy City. Israel retaliated with airstrikes and artillery fire, targeting Hamas's military infrastructure and leaders. The conflict quickly escalated, with both sides launching hundreds of attacks every day, killing and injuring civilians and destroying buildings and infrastructure. The international community condemned the violence and called for an immediate ceasefire, but neither side seemed willing to back down. The mediation as the war raged on, several countries and organizations tried to mediate a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. The most active and influential mediator was Egypt, which has close ties with both sides and has brokered previous truces in the past. Egypt sent its intelligence chief to Israel and Gaza, and held talks with the US, the UN, and other regional powers. Egypt also used its leverage over Hamas, by threatening to close its border with Gaza and cut off its humanitarian aid, if the group did not stop firing rockets. Egypt also offered incentives to Hamas, such as easing the blockade on Gaza and facilitating reconstruction efforts, if the group agreed to a ceasefire. The pressure. Another key factor that contributed to the ceasefire deal was the pressure from the US, Israel's main ally and supporter. The US initially backed Israel's right to defend itself, and blocked several attempts by the UN Security Council to issue a statement calling for a ceasefire. However, as the civilian casualties and the humanitarian crisis in Gaza mounted, the US faced growing criticism and pressure from its own public, media, and lawmakers, especially from the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. The US also faced pressure from its allies and partners in Europe and the Middle East, who urged the US to use its influence over Israel to end the hostilities. The US President, Joe Biden, eventually changed his tone, and publicly and privately urged the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, to de-escalate the situation and accept a ceasefire. The compromise. The final push for the ceasefire deal came on May 20, 2023, when Netanyahu convened his security cabinet to discuss the situation. Netanyahu faced a dilemma. On one hand, he wanted to continue the military campaign, to weaken Hamas and boost his own political standing, as he was facing a corruption trial and a possible end of his 12-year rule. On the other hand, he knew that prolonging the war would risk more international isolation, domestic unrest, and military casualties, and that he had reached the limit of what he could achieve militarily, without launching a costly ground invasion. Netanyahu decided to compromise, and accepted the Egyptian proposal for a mutual and unconditional ceasefire, that would take effect at 2 a.m. local time on May 21. Hamas and other militant groups in Gaza also agreed to the ceasefire, claiming victory and celebrating in the streets. The aftermath. The ceasefire deal ended 11 days of intense fighting, that killed more than 250 people, mostly in Gaza, and displaced tens of thousands more. The deal also left many unresolved issues, such as the fate of the Palestinian prisoners, the status of Jerusalem, and the long-term solution for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The deal also raised many questions, such as how long the ceasefire would last, how the reconstruction of Gaza would be funded and monitored, and how the relations between Israel and the US, and between Israel and its Arab neighbors, would be affected. The deal also highlighted the changing dynamics and challenges in the region, such as the rise of Iran and its proxies, the decline of the Palestinian Authority and its leader, Mahmoud Abbas, and the emergence of new voices and movements within the Israeli and Palestinian societies. So, that was the inside story of how the Israel-Gaza War ended, and what was the secret behind the ceasefire deal that stopped the bloodshed. I hope you learned something new and interesting from this video. If you did, please hit the like button and share this video with your friends and family. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notifications, so you don't miss any of my future videos. Also, let me know in the comments below, what do you think about the ceasefire deal, and what do you think will happen next in the region? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.